Hey YouTube, hope you guys can see me. I'm back home in AZ. Things didn't work out with the trucking company I was going with for training, so I'm actually going with another trucking company. I told you guys I was having a lot of drama with them. I hope you guys can see me okay. I don't know if I need to. I think you can see me okay. I might open those curtains in a minute. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can see me okay. Um, I went to BFD to find out what the topics are. I'll talk about the trucking thing on my site, so I'll tell you guys all that drama. I start with my other trucking company, which was actually my first choice. The only reason I went with the second one, the one I went with, was because I wanted Hillary on the truck. The first trucking company won't allow me to take the dog, so I don't know how I'm going to work that out, and I'm going to have to just deal with the things as they happen. I don't want to lose her as a dog, but it might have to be the case, unfortunately, and she's kind of like my little family, so we'll work that out. I might get somebody to watch her and pay them, so we'll see. Um, I had an email that said that our topic was something on LGBT and religion. So I'll probably do something on it. And I'll just put it on my channel and then I'll hook up with Mainly. But I'm seeing it looks like the topic this week is defining moments, which is a really cool topic. I'm going through some stuff right now in my head that lines up with that a lot. I thought over the topic because I was talking to another panelist, a guest panelist who I'm becoming friends with, and we were talking about the topic a little bit, and I've been thinking it over on defining moments, and I'm watching some of the videos. I get some defining moments, happy, sad, in between, over, under. I mean, I could blow your mind with some of the things that have happened. I think most of us have had things in our life that have happened that have been tragic that define us. I remember 13, a man breaking into my grandfather's home when I was spending the night over there with my two brothers, and he tried to rape and attack me, and I actually went toe-to-toe fist fight in the living room with this dude and fought him out the house. At that moment, my mind defined that no man would ever lay his hands on me. I knew I liked girls since I was little, so 5 years old, I was playing house with girls all the way up, so I knew that. And I knew that that defining moment for me at 13 would be no man would ever lay his hands on me again. You would have to take my life in order to ever touch me. And that was pretty much, I think, where that fight went to, and the moment that defined a lot of me and who I am, and maybe even some of my attitudes towards most men who are straight. I'm not a big fan of it. So, relationship wise, I think we all have defining moments. I remember I went to a church service. You guys know me and the minister thing, and there was a minister there. He was out of town. Was it CME? I think it was a CME church, and he had preached on basically he was talking to young women about the type of men that they let into their lives, and how that impacts them. And he used a scripture from the Bible where it says that a woman's heart is a garden locked. What that means is that if you have a lock on your heart, then only a certain type of person should be able to get in. With that being said, some recent things I'm kind of dealing with in my head and friendships and so forth, I'm realizing that sometimes people have let people in who have damaged the garden. So unfortunately, when you may meet somebody who is not with that same agenda and that same goal, you then have to become guarded. And that is rather hard to deal with because you're dealing with somebody who's been damaged from previous stuff. And I've been there. I mean, I think every female, I don't care if you're butch, femme, in between, over and under, you have been there where you had relationships that have impacted you to where they have made you less trusting, made you be maybe a little more guarded. And then when you might meet someone who maybe really the real deal, it's hard to say, is that really going to be the real deal, or is this going to be some more BS? And so one of the reasons why I'm never into, I always mention rebound relationships. I don't like rebounds because you have to have a period of healing, and you really, really, really do. Some people's healing periods could be a year. Some people could be 6 months. Some people could be 15 years because of the damage that might have been done in a previous relationship. We don't know. Sometimes we stay in because we're like hoping or wishing that maybe this will be better, maybe, and we allow ourselves to be damaged. But I remember that sermon, and what was so significant was he said that the right person with the right key should be able to get into the garden, not just anybody. And unfortunately, sometimes we let anybody in, And then we wonder why we got weeds in our garden, and why maybe when the right person does possibly come along, then it is something that becomes more difficult or sometimes impossible because the damage is so severe. And so we have to be careful who we let into the garden. Like I said, I've had relationships where my last major relationship, it was very damaging. I went through a lot of an emotional roller coaster with the individual, and I had to take some time off. And I granted, I also had some health stuff happen, but that's kind of some of why I got into ministry. I mean, I know I had a ministry calling, but I really just kind of refocused my life. So it was a defining moment for me. And I'm very cautious now with most relationships, which I understand that why. And I'm more logical usually with them. And I try not to let my emotions overrule me. But sometimes you meet people that can bring those emotions back to the forefront of the table. So you just have to kind of pray and think it through and see how you're going to handle it. That's one. Trying to think of other defining moments in my life. I think one of the other defining moments was an aunt's funeral. And again, I'm probably going to always relate it back to church things because to me they're more spiritual and deeper. But I remember that when my aunt died, our family, my cousins were very almost depressed. This is my great aunt. And there was a sadness because they're so caught up in the here and now that they don't understand spiritual things. So they don't understand believing in a life after death. They don't understand any of that. And my aunt was a Christian woman, so a Christian foundation is you believe in Christ, you have a life after death, and that life will not be going to a hell, it'll be going to a heaven based on that relationship. But there was a sense of nothingness for a lot of these kids because they don't understand that foundation of the Christian principle. And the pastor said something, I mean, it's very simple, it's nothing complex, but it was so overwhelmingly defining for me. He said, every man is born knowing that one day he will die. What matters is what he does between birth and death and his relationship with God between birth and death. You want to have something happen between your birth and your death that is so significant that you leave a lasting impact. I'm not saying you have to be a Martin Luther King or a great president, I'm not saying you have to be any of those things. I'm not saying you have to be a Mahatma Gandhi, but I'm saying that you must do something in your lifespan, in your lifetime between birth and death, that prayerfully impacts others for the good and not the worst. And I think that's why I'm a little more who I am today than who I was yesterday. So defining moments to me are those things that significantly impact me that might sometimes have been negative, but I trigger them to a positive. Some people will let the negative impacts keep them from the positive things. And I don't want my life to be that way. I guess that's why I'm a little more open. Even though sometimes being open can be something that might sometimes be hurtful. I take that risk. And then I just have to knock off the dust and the bruises, and if I get beat up along the way, and say, hey, I tried, because I look at the what if opposed to the never again. Anyway, that's just some of my defining stuff. I don't know what else I could share on that, but hope you guys are blessed. It's good to see you. I'll be putting some vids up on my channel, kind of talking about what happened with trucking, and God bless. I'm just going to put this straight up. I'm not even going to go through a whole bunch of edits. Anyway, peace. Be blessed. 2 and 2.